Sandmans, half French, half German. There is a strange influence in the German language here in Berlin from France. Comes into quite a few things. Sometimes the Berliners, they don't refer to a floor in a building as a Schloss. Is it Geschoss? Well, yes.
Geschoss?
Geschoss, thank you. Sometimes they say etage.
Etage.
Yeah, see? It's French. Say what you want about the French, and believe me, I do when they're not here. But but it's an incredibly sexy language. There's nothing we can do about that. See? The accent, distracting me from the rest of the tour. So, this building that we're sitting in front of here, it's designed by a really famous architect, a very important architect for Germany and for Berlin, called Karl Friedrich Schinkel. He's very famous for using this particular style, the neoclassical style, hallmarks of which are that it's symmetrical, we've got these columns. It's all well and good and lovely and nice. The most annoying thing though about Karl Friedrich Schinkel is when you abbreviate, what's the word? Acronym. When you make an acronym out of his name, it's not KFC, it's KFS. I mean, none of you guys really care about that, but for me, can you imagine how much better it would make the tour? Just talking about KFC all day, why not? So KFS, Karl Friedrich Schinkel, he designed quite a lot of things around Berlin, a few things we're going to be seeing on the rest of the tour, including the lampposts on the Royal Boulevard. Wow, who is excited for the lampposts? He also did the helmet used by the German army in World War I, with the spike on top. Now, we have the benefit of having some German people with us. Do you know what that was for? No. No, nobody seems to know why. Oh, spike, cool. I had some German people on my tour the other day and they said, oh, it's somewhere to keep your pickle. So clearly no one has any idea. If Schinkel was still alive, I'd love to ask him, love to work out what this was all about, but it's still a mystery. Now, this building in German is Das Konzerthaus, which makes it in English, the concert house. Pretty tough stuff. It's where the symphony orchestra play. If you want to go see them, head in there last minute. It's really cheap. You're in these beautiful surroundings. Absolutely fantastic thing to do with your time while you're here in Berlin. However, that's about as much as anyone can talk about a concert house. That really is as interesting as it is. These two churches are far more important and far more interesting. We can take the history of both of these churches back to 1618. It's not when they were built, it's long before they were built, but 1618 is when there was an outbreak of war here in Europe, which might not come as a surprise to anybody. This war lasted for 30 years, until 1648, making it 30 years long, the 30 Years' War. Really simple stuff, that's what it's called. 30 Years' War was very bad for Berlin. In fact, they suffered from the plague twice, they suffered from very many occupying powers, and by 1648 the population had dipped to only 20,000 people. So they decided to build the population back up. They built the whole area of the town around here called Friedrichstadt, where the buildings were that much taller, 2 stories taller, not that much. And what else did they do? Ah, yes, they didn't ask the Berliners to procreate. No, gross, disgusting. They asked a load of foreigners to come over here to build up the population instead. The largest group of foreigners that were invited were 5,000 Frenchmen. They were the Huguenots, Protestants, being kicked out of France by Louis XIV, who was having a Catholic revolution. So, by 1705, they decided that they should really welcome them here, put out a grand gesture. To do that, they built this church, the Französische Dom, the French cathedral. It was a place where those Frenchmen could go and worship Calvinism in French. It made Gendarmenmarkt a place where French and German-speaking people started to interact, get along. In fact, it's a start really of a period of history that we call the Enlightenment. Really good stuff. However, and I'm sorry, it's the time of the day where I might get a little bit rude. French people, they came here and they found something to complain about. They came all the way over to Berlin to complain about the beer. Now, we said already, we founded Germany, Germany was founded by Bismarck really, in 1871. Does anybody know when all the German-speaking countries or kingdoms around here defined what beer should be? It was in the mid-1500s. 300 years before we had Germany, we had German beer, all right? And the French came and moaned about it. Well, they didn't quite moan about it. They didn't like it. So, they're faced with this problem. Do we complain or do we make it better? And, got to give it to them, the French, they tried to make it better. The beer that they didn't like is Weiss beer. Comes in a very tall glass, it's wheat beer, it's all very cloudy, it's really nice, I really like it. French though, they thought it's not sweet enough, so they added raspberry. Made a bright red beer. They thought, this isn't weird enough. So they made a second version where they added Waldmeister, which is woodruff, which is a hallucinogenic plant. Now, yeah, it sounds fun. However, when you add it to alcohol, it no longer makes you hallucinate. Boring. But it does make a bright green beer that you put in a cocktail glass and that you drink with a straw. What? How did you guys come up with this one? Beer, but green in a cocktail glass. In case beer was just too manly for you. So, it's called Berliner Weisse. You can get it. Can you get it in your guys' hometown? Berliner Weisse? Oh yes, you can get it all over Germany. It is pretty weird. It's the definite Berlin drink. Yeah, you're gonna look a bit weird drinking it, but why not? Unless you guys are American, it's pretty much the only chance you're probably gonna get to drink a green beer. Americans like to drink green beer on St. Patrick's Day, right? Yeah. I don't. Why not? Hey, there's worse things you can do. So, if you want to try Berliner Weisse while you're here, go nuts. If you're wondering what it tastes like, I guess that's the most important thing. The red one, well, it's raspberry, so it tastes a bit like raspberry, and beer at the same time. Surprisingly quite nice. The green one, though, well, that's up for interpretation, isn't it? There's one of our guides who yells to her group at this point, the green beer, don't drink it. It tastes like shampoo. No. This girl is 27 years old. It's high time that she stopped getting shampoo in her mouth. All right? Anyway, I actually really like the green beer. It does taste nice. It is a bit mad, but like I say, why not? Someone says, do you want a green beer? You can't really say no, can you? So give it a go while you're here. Now that was what the French people had to complain about while they were here interacting on Gendarmenmarkt. The Prussians, the Berliners, the German speakers, they had something else to complain about. And you got to hand it to them. They're here saying, French people, big church. We were here first, what about us? So, 1708, 3 years later, we get the Deutsche Dom, the German cathedral. Now they're meant to be symmetrical, the square's meant to be based on an Italian design, but the Prussians decided to play with it a bit. This building, the German cathedral, is 8 meters taller than the French one. Yeah, take that. Now, I actually used to do my part of the tour sat on the steps of the German cathedral over there. Get a really nice view of the square, why not? All very good. However, I am quite loud. And one day, some guy stuck his head out the window and said, "You are too loud." Fair enough. However, it's not very polite, is it? He could have said, "Oh, we're doing something today, we need to be quiet, could you move over there?" Or, "You're not allowed to sit here, very sorry." You know, I advertised this guy's museum for free. So now I don't advertise it. It's all about the German Parliament and Constitution. Boring. Don't go there. It's full of assholes as well. What you should do is go to this one. There's a museum in there all about the Huguenots who got displaced all over Europe. A large contingent went to London. They had a very strange time. How do you pronounce it properly?
Huguenot.
Huguenot. All right. Say any word with a H in it. That's all right. That's it. Thank you. What was I going to say? Yes, another thing you can do in the French cathedral though, something that everybody would really love I think, is pay them only €3. Go inside the main doors at the front there, it's closed at the moment, but come back tomorrow, and you can go up to the top of the tower and you get a great view all over Berlin. I am not labouring under any impressions that this building is particularly tall. I can see that. However, Berlin, being built on this swamp, is completely flat. You can see for miles or kilometres from up there. You get this really great view, you're not behind glass, you get great photographs. It really is one of my favourite things to do here. And if you take somebody up that hasn't been on this tour, take them up on the hour, because you stand right next to the bells and they are so loud, okay? It's great, I did it to my mum, it's brilliant. So, on that note, I want to move on. That was Gendarmenmarkt. It was weird, there was no Nazis, there were no communists. We are going to get back on theme. I want to move over to our next square, which is called Babelplatz. It's got a lot of Prussian history, it's got a lot of history in the Enlightenment, but it has a history of ignorance as well. It's where, in 1933, the Nazi book burnings took place. Any questions before we head on?